So let's see if
Okay.
the stream appears.
Did it appear?
It's not streaming yet on YouTube, at least.
Refresh because it says it's live.
Yes, it's live. There's some delay in there.
Did it appear?
Can you hear yourself? Not streaming yet on YouTube. All right. We're good. You can kick things off, Jon-Tait.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Donny, for doing this talk on life in the Fastlane. Donny works at LookLive, a pretty cool company that they have an app that allow you to find things that you see in a TV show. Like for me, like I watch Suits and Scandal and The Good Wife, and if I see things in those shows, then I can go on LookLive and find those outfits, whatever I may find to be cool. So here we go. Go ahead, Donnie, you can take over.
All right. So yeah, you nailed it with LookLive. We don't just do shows; we also do a lot of celebrities. Just wanted to add that one, rappers and everything. So if you're into streetwear, you might be into us.
Are you guys doing music videos yet?
We are, yeah. We recently added them to our homepage on the website. They are in the app, but you have to sort of look for them. But they're there. Seems like it's been a good move so far to start covering music videos.
Absolutely, music videos. I was always looking forward to the future of having music videos.
Yeah, we've noticed that a lot of people especially love like the artists. For example, I think Justin Bieber has been our most growing subject on the website, which is amazing to me. But apparently people love his style. But also Kanye West, Drake, Wiz Khalifa, I don't know, a bunch of those guys. They're doing really well.
Okay,
all right, so
that's
I'll
great.
Share my screen. There we go. My presentation should be up now, is it? Because I cannot see it anymore myself.
It is up right now.
Awesome. Okay, so this talk is called Developing in a Fastlane. It's all about how LookLive uses Fastlane to automate and speed up our app deployment process. So usually when you do a deploy, you do them regularly like we do at LookLive, because we have an iOS app that we try to update every 2 weeks to 3 weeks with new features, bug fixes, speed improvements. So it's the same flow for me every 2-3 weeks. I write some tests to make sure that my new code is working. I finalize the code as well because, well, usually when I write my tests, I figure out that something should be improved, and I run the tests. Then I figure out that my build number should be increased because otherwise TestFlight won't get it. I archive the build. I have to wait for a bit. I upload that to Crashlytics. I have to update my release notes. Well, I could go on and on with this list. There's a lot of steps. And then in the end, you can submit your build and wait for the review process from Apple to be done. Now, we can all agree that this is a lot of steps. And in this list that you just saw, there's a bunch of steps that I didn't even bother to write down. Like, for example, build numbers, I always forget to update them. So for me, the flow is usually more like archive the build, try to upload the test flight, get a complaint that it's the same build number, go back, update build number, do the archiving again, etc., etc. Very time consuming, very annoying, and not necessary, actually, because we can use Fastlane for all that. Let's just have a look real quick at this slide, because this is straight from the Fastlane website. What they say is Fastlane lets you define and run your deployment pipelines for different environments. It helps you unify your app's release process and automate the whole process. Fastlane connects all Fastlane tools and third-party tools like CocoaPods and Gradle. So what this means is that you can set up Fastlane to do all the hard work for you in a pipeline. So on one end, you put in your Xcode project, basically, And what should come out in the other end is a deployed app. Which is, when I first learned about this was kind of how I looked. I was happy with this. I really wanted this. I needed this, but yeah, it seems kind of intimidating to set up something to do all of these steps for you. Just going back a bit and see what Fastlane does. What's on screen right now is all of the built-in tools that Fastlane ships with. It's all built by a guy named Felix Kraus. It's all open source, and yeah, this guy has been going nuts with all these tools. For example, you have Gem, which is a tool that will run your Xcode build command, but makes it very easy to run instead of having to do it on a command line yourself. It will just, yeah, you just call the function and it will build your app. There's another one called Deliver, which is responsible for metadata. You have Sci, which is responsible for pulling down all of your certificates and profiles. You have Scan to run your tests. Well, there's a lot of things in here, and it even goes as far as submitting your build to iTunes Connect with Pilot, which is, yeah, pretty cool to me because this simplifies. Like I already said, it makes everything a lot more easy to do. And it doesn't just end there. It doesn't just do all of the like regular Xcode stuff for you. It also integrates with a ton of other services. Like Git, for example, it will increment your build number. It will make a new tag in Git. It will push that up to the remote. It will commit everything it changed for you. It can even lint your Swift code. Clear out your derived data if needed. It can do pod install for you to make sure that all your Cocoa pods are installed. If you're doing CI on an external server, you might want to make sure that all your Cocoa pods are pulled down before your thing builds. So it's packed with features. It's got like everything that you can imagine that you might want to do during your build process. It's very likely that Fastlane has implemented this in one way or the other. So the built-in actions that you're going to get, and the ones that I really love, are the ones that increment your build number. For example, you can just have it like set your build number to be the previous build number plus 1, or you can make it use the current time as a build number, or whatever you want. You can just do anything with your build number for you. Yeah, tag your repo. Like every time you do a new deploy to a beta channel, just tag the repo in Git, so you can easily revert back to this version of your app, and it will push it straight up, and you don't have to worry about anything with it. And all of the integrated tools make it really easy to like run all of the steps. Like I said before, there's a lot of waiting involved where you're testing and you're waiting for your test to complete. You can just ship it off to Fastlane and you don't have to sit around and wait. So for LookLive, how we initially wanted to make everything easier was to like take a lot of the steps. Like obviously it won't write code for us. It won't make sure that our tests are good, but it will make sure that the tests run and do the build update, because I always forget that. It will make sure the builds archive, so I don't have to manually wait for that. It will upload it to Crashlytics. It will update my release notes as well. So all I have to do is have a text file. It will add this to Crashlytics, and all my beta testers will get these release notes. There is still, unfortunately, one waiting step involved, which is when iTunes is processing. I figured that I can wait for that manually, since they will email me anyway when the processing is complete. And then I can use Fastlane to update all of my metadata. So the release notes for the final version that goes to the App Store, app information, screenshots, whatever I want to change in terms of that. I can use Fastlane for that as well. So for LookLive, these were the initial goals, to just take a lot of those time-consuming, straightforward steps that are the same every time, but you just don't want to sit around and wait for it, to take those steps and put them into Fastlane. So the goal was for a LookLive deploy date to be write tests, finalize code, run a command, wait for a bit, deliver, submit the build to iTunes Connect, like the actual App Store review submission, and then wait for the review, which is obviously a lot more simpler than having to do all of the steps manually and keep going back and forth with that. So let's get a bit technical with this, because it's a lot to take in and it's a lot of automation. And well, when I started with this, I felt that I was going to have to write a lot of code to get this going. The end result that we set out to end up with in terms of in Fastlane was to just have 3 lanes. The first lane was the development lane, which is the one that I would run just for internal betas. It would increment build numbers, run my tests, build the app, and go to Crashlytics. When I'm happy with that, I would run the beta lane, which would run the tests as well to make sure that everything still works. It will build the app, upload it to Crashlytics for a different tester group, and upload that to TestFlight, so our TestFlight beta testers will also get it. And a third one would be deliver, which only responsibility is to go ahead and upload metadata to iTunes Connect. So the ingredients for this, obviously the first one we need is Fastlane. It's a very easy to install piece of software. It's on Ruby gems, so all you have to do is gem install Fastlane, and all the tools are pulled down. The tools inside of Fastlane that I wanted to use were Scan to test my app, Gym to build the app, Sci, so I could always make sure that the latest certificates that we have on the server in like the Apple developer portal are being pulled down and used to sign the app with. And Crashlytics comes with Fastlane. It will upload my stuff to the Crashlytics beta platform. Pilot, part of Fastlane as well. It will upload the app to iTunes Connect, so beta testers will get it, and it's available to submit to the review team at Apple. And then the last one is deliver, to upload metadata, like keywords, app title, release notes, screenshots, all that. So what does this look like in practice? So the first lane that I mentioned was the development lane. So what this is the entire lane, what you're looking at right now. It's only a couple of lines of code. And like I said, it's not that much code involved. You can just call increment build number. You just tell it to do that, it will do it. I opted to just increment the build number by 1 every time I run this. So if the build is 10 before, then this increment build number will turn 10 into 11, and it will put a commit in Git right away, which is really convenient in my opinion, because that way you get nice commits that just say like this incremented the build number. Then Sci will download the development certificates, and it will install them as well. So this makes sure that I'm always up to date with development certificates that are in the developer portal. Then I run Scan with the LookLive scheme. You can change this to whatever you want. So you could actually have multiple schemes for multiple environments or whatever you want. All you have to do is tell it Scan and which scheme you want to use, and it will run your tests against that scheme, which is pretty convenient. It will do both UI tests and unit tests. So one command is enough to test your entire application. Then it will build the actual app using Gym. It's the same command as Scan in terms of what you tell it to do. You just say, hey, take the LookLive scheme and build that. When that's done, the output of that will be taken to Crashlytics. Crashlytics is the most complex step in here, actually, and it's not even that complex, because what it does, it just takes your Crashlytics path. So where is the Crashlytics framework located? Usually it will be in some CocoaPods folder. You tell it which test groups to send the app to. You have an API token and a build secret whenever you use Crashlytics. You can find that in Xcode, and you just have to fill it out. And you can tell it to read a certain file for your release notes. That is everything you need to do to get Fastlane to upload your stuff to Crashlytics and make it available to your testers. Then wrapping things up is just cleaning the build artifacts, because there will be some certificates in your folder. There will be maybe an IPA file in your folder. You don't want to keep those around because you don't need those, so you tell it to clean up after itself. You add a tag in Git to make sure that you can always rewind back to this certain version of your app, and you push it all up to the remote, so any other person working on this app will be able to pull down the new tag and the new version bump and everything. Now, this is kind of how I felt when this ran successfully for the first time. Like, it was amazing to me that I could just write so little code and have all of this stuff just go ahead and build for me. Now, the second lane I mentioned was the beta lane. It's extremely similar to what we did with the development lane, except this one does not increment the build number. I chose to do this in this way because the beta should never be run with different code than the developed version. So I have to manually make sure that I first do Fastlane develop and then Fastlane beta right after that. So this also just pulls down certificates, except with Psi. There's a slight difference because I'm not telling it to do anything with develop this time. I'm just telling it to pull down everything. This will make sure that I can sign the app for test flight and for Crashlytics as well. Then we also have scan again to make sure that nothing broke, Jim to build the app, then pilot, which is interesting to me because the first time I tried to add this, I added it similar to what Psi looks like right now. So we just pilot without any arguments. I found that adding skip submission will make sure that I don't have to wait an hour to process the build. Because if you don't skip submission, it will wait until Apple approves of your binary and it's done processing, and only then will it continue execution, which for me resulted in timeouts and waiting way longer than I wanted to. So that is pilot. Then we have Crashlytics again, which is the same as it was in the develop lane, except this time we choose a different group, internal testers. And it also cleans up after itself. This time it will not tag the repo, it will not push any changes because, this should be the exact same version as develop. Then the final lane I wrote was deliver. I made this into a separate lane because I didn't want this to be executed every time I change a beta, for example. I wanted this to only happen like the moment I want to deploy the app. So force true means that we kind of ignore a bunch of warnings that could occur and skip screenshots true. I added that because at LookLive we localized our App Store presence for I think every language that we could do in iTunes Connect, which is a bunch. And not skipping screenshot will upload screenshots for every device. So that's 5 screenshots for each device for each language, which took, I think, about 2 hours to do. And we're not changing the screenshots often. So yeah, uploading the same screenshots and waiting for that seemed like a bit of a waste of time. But you could configure it to not skip screenshots and have deliver do this manual labor for you. So there's 2 more things that I would recommend everybody who is going to implement Fastlane to do, which is before all, ensure that your Git status is clean. This just makes sure that you're not accidentally doing Fastlane within your work, like you're editing something and you do Fastlane develop, and yeah, you just want to wrap everything up cleanly before you build your app, basically. So ensure git status clean will make sure that you committed all the work that's ongoing before you run Fastlane. And on error, you want to clean the build artifacts. I found that sometimes if an error occurs, you kind of want to make sure that you don't keeping some broken files around. You want to just clean up after itself and yeah, just keep your stuff clean. So what does this result in for us? It results in about 15 minutes of time saved for just pushing out a beta to internal testers, which is not a lot, but if you consider that we do this sometimes multiple times a day for like development team betas, saving 15 minutes every time results in like 1 or 2 hours saved on a very busy day. Usually we just do it once or twice a week, but well, 15 minutes counts up. Then for metadata changes, like I said, we have our App Store presence localized in many languages, so updating like release notes would take us a while to go into iTunes Connect, then go to each language, add the metadata changes. We can just use Deliver for that right now, and that's so much faster. And then we also have like screenshot updates, which yeah, it takes like 4 hours to upload all of them manually, maybe even longer. So yeah, whenever we do want that, it's very convenient to be able to just grab a computer, run this screenshot update with Deliver, and have it going. So all in all, that's a lot of time saved for LookLive, and I'm sure that there's people who could save even more time than we did. And all this time saved is nice, but we can actually do more, even though this already is a lot to do it, but we can do even more. For example, we can use a tool called Snapshot that's built in Fastlane to automate taking localized screenshots. What's cool about this is it uses like the UI testing framework from Xcode, and it will just go through your app in every language and make sure that it takes the exact same screenshots, and then Snapshot can even like take out the status bar and make sure that everything looks good. You can take it even further and use a tool like Frame It, which also comes with Fastlane to like frame your screenshots in different kinds of settings. You can run Fastlane on a Jenkins slave, which means that simply pushing up to your Git server will trigger like a beta build. You don't even have to run anything manually. So that's actually what we're looking into right now with LookLive. And yeah, we also want to maybe automate the submitting for review with Apple because Fastlane is supposed to be able to do that. It's just the processing that's taking a long time that's been killing that for me right now, but it will be very next level to say like, hey, we just have to say build it for release and just don't touch it anymore until Apple tells you that it's reviewed and ready to go. So this is how we brought development or deployment to the Fastlane and LookLive. So yeah, I have hosted our fast file on GitHub. This slide will be up somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but everybody should be able to find it later. So you can check out like my fast file, and you can see how LookLive is actually doing this, and copy and paste it to your own file to see if it works for you. And that's all I have for you today.
Thanks a lot, Donny. I appreciate that. That's pretty cool, actually. That mind-blowing slide is actually very appropriate. It is actually mind-blowing.
It's the most appropriate use I found for the mind-blowing GIF ever, or GIF, or what should I say?
Right. And I love how specific you made the slides to LookLive, like the TV shows, and you had suits in there. That was pretty cool. I like that. I remember when you started working on this, and we were talking on Slack, and you said that there was some effort into getting it up and running.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for a few minutes, please? Can you just tell us what it
Sure,
was like?
for sure. So the problem that I had with this was everybody was saying, "Oh, it's so easy. You just do psi and then do gym and scan it and then it's done." And then I was like, "Okay, well, psi scan gym, whatever." Didn't work. The reasons that it didn't work was, for example, I didn't know that pilot was going to take so long that it would time out because I didn't know about skip submission. And I also had some issues with like getting Crashlytics to work because I didn't pull down the development certificates. I had to say like, hey, pull down my development stuff as well. And I didn't do that. I actually said skip install true, and I just didn't know that I needed to make sure that my development certificates were added properly. And I also figured out that I had some messed up stuff with the developer portal, um, which was totally my fault, actually.
It's interesting.
It's
So about how long did it take you then to get up and running, um, minus like miscellaneous off times?
uh, I think all in all, like the figuring out the stuff that was broken and stuff that I did wrong, stuff that I didn't know about. All in all, no more than a day, probably 6 hours.
That's what's up, though. That's pretty cool for all the time.
It's
Um,
yeah, it's. I think I earned that time back by now. 6 hours is a while, but that also included to just run the thing and watch my UI tests go, and like that itself, just watching the UI tests go can take like 15 minutes, I think. Like all in all, like all of my tests, my build process, my UI tests, it takes a while by now.
right.
So I don't want to babysit that. So I'm really happy with Fastlane because I can just like tell it to go and it will go. I don't have to worry about it.
You know, on the slide when you said let's get technical, I was really looking for something that was going to be really technical, but I don't think it was that bad.
No, it's a lot less bad than it sounds, right? Like writing code to automate all of your stuff that sounds like you're gonna write a lot of code. And it's just simply not true. Like Felix did a really good job with building Fastlane and the surrounding tools to be as simple as they could be. Like the only point that I would like to see updated a bit more is like documentation, because sometimes that is a little bit lacking. But on the upside, they do provide some sample fast files from stuff like Wikipedia and Pinterest, and so you can just see like how they use it, and
That's
that's
pretty.
very helpful. You can just say like, oh yeah, I want that as well. So just copy paste it over, change it a little bit, experiment, and like I said, less than a day, and you have your own pipeline.
No, that's pretty cool. When you said it won't write your code for us, it's so cool. Like you would think that it could write your code for you, right?
Almost, yeah. And actually, I bet that it could, but but you would have to write code to write the code. So I'm not sure how efficient that would be.
Right, right, right. So you were talking about the time difference, and you were talking about the first 15 minutes. And I think if you look at it from that perspective of just 15 minutes, then it doesn't look so useful. But when these 15 minutes start accumulating, it adds up very quickly.
Yeah.
And if 15 minutes is not a lot of time, then you should enjoy when that ball is turning on Xcode, and nobody likes that. Even if it turns for 1 second, you're not very happy. So,
No.
so the time added up to me is very significant.
Yeah, because like I found that now that I have Fastlane set up for myself, very good. So what I can do right now is sort of say like, oh hey, I'm almost done with this feature. I want to beta test that internally. So I want to run Fastlane develop. What I do is I just wait until it's time to go to lunch, and I run it, and I go eat. And when I come back, I have a new beta ready to go. Like I don't have to babysit this anymore.
Exactly, and that's
Which
that
is
to me is
exactly what I used to do, because I used to say like, okay, so I want to run my test now, run the test, okay, wait around for 10 minutes, all right, testing is done, okay, now archive this thing, okay, wait around for another 5 minutes, okay, that's done. Upload this thing to Crashlytics, upload this thing to, well, you can see where this is going. It's just babysitting every step of the way.
right, 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 and yeah, I think you're right. So with all this awesomeness, I'm thinking the cost should be hefty. What are we looking at?
What do you mean costs?
how much it cost for us to use
Free.
Fastlane.
It's free.
Isn't that the best part, though? That's
It is.
exciting.
It's a one-line install, gem install Fastlane, and you're good to go, and it's free forever. It's open source actually. You can find all the code on GitHub. So if you see a problem with Fastlane, step in, fix it, add your own actions, whatever. From what I can tell, actually, Felix Krause is more than happy to merge in any actions people can come up with. So if you want something that will do whatever you want with Git, write an action for it, add that, and it will probably get merged in.
That's exciting, man. I haven't started using it yet, but just by talking to you in private messages and then on here, like it looks so exciting. I'm not sure why I'm not doing it yet, but I'm gonna get on board, and I'm happy that you have used it. So with your experience, you'll be able to answer a few questions that that I may have. Before we go, can you just tell us again about LookLive? Tell us about what you do and where they can find the app.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll pretend that you never heard of LookLive before. LookLive is basically a metadata company right now. So what we do is, in your favorite TV shows, for your favorite celebrities, and your favorite music videos, we figure out what people are wearing in that particular moment. So, for instance, let's say Harvey Specter is wearing some extremely cool tie and suits. 99% sure you're going to find out what it is on LookLive, because we figure out what everybody wears in suits. It's just one of the many shows that we do. In the future, we're expanding to doing this all automated with artificial intelligence. We want to figure out where people are, what they're doing, why they're doing this, what headphones are they wearing, what car are they driving, what restaurants are near. Like, just think of it, and we want to have that data in our database at some point. So what I do at LookLive is I am obviously an iOS developer. I also work on a website, and I even do a little bit of backend work in Python. So we all have to be very versatile at LookLive, but fortunately I am the lucky person that gets to work on our app, and I'm very happy about that. You can find us in every app store in the world, globally available. Just look for LookLive. I'll just share a link in Hangouts as well. I'm just going to promote this thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the least
I'm
we
not
can
likely
do.
to share an app link in Hangouts, but today I will.
Right.
And yeah, just check it out. Follow your favorite stuff. And if you want to beta test this for us, or if you have any feedback about the website, just looklive.com, or the app, just let me know. Hit me up on Slack, and your feedback will be heard. That's for sure. Just go as Jon-Tait. I think there's a few features that he requested that we added.
Right. One of the things when I introduce people to LookLive that they always say is, how do they know what the people are wearing? And I think it's pretty cool. Like the first time you showed this to me, I thought it was mind blowing. But we really appreciate you doing this, and we should have another talk next week, I think. And the information will be posted in our Slack community. And thanks for joining us, and thank you for watching. And thank you for doing this again, Donny.
No problem. And just a shout out to Zane Helton. I think he's going to be up next week, right?
Right, yeah. Zane is going to be up next week. Zane is a high school student. It's pretty cool.
He is. I'm looking forward to whatever he has to say. I'm not sure what he's going to talk about yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
I know that Zane is an Objective-C fan, a big one, and
I know that he's a Swift hater.
And that's where we are at odds. But Zane is pretty cool though, so I'm looking forward to his talk next week.
Me too.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for doing this. So we'll talk next time.
Yes, talk later.
All right.